Good morning. Man, I was up late last night. I didn't finish up cleaning up the kitchen. I had to make those cheesesteaks. I made soup before that. I made some manicotti before that. And I needed to feed myself, so I made very late at night 2 cheesesteak sandwiches. One of them, my foot kicked the plate and sent it up in the air, but the other one was just fine. But I'm just beat, man. I'm beat. Normally I try and go to bed around 7 or 8, and that's at night, not in the morning. And, sleep 6-7 hours, but I was so late yesterday with everything that I needed to do, and I just had to bring my energy level down enough so I could sleep. So anyway, here I am drinking my coffee, and I'm going to make a nice breakfast for myself. We're going to have scrambled eggs with cheese, and I'm going to attempt to make my amazing New York style, New Jersey style, New York, New Jersey style home fries. And those are the soft kind. But I haven't really hit the perfect, way to make them. So I've been experimenting. They come out great. Ooh, what just fell out of my hair? They come out, yeah, I know, I'm wearing the same clothes as yesterday. It's okay, it's overnight. I'll change out of them after I have breakfast. But anyway, so I experiment with them. They're delicious, but exactly how small the pieces need to be, and when you fry them, and if they should be cooked in butter. So what I usually do is I start by parboiling some potatoes. So I've got 3 peeled potatoes here, so they're ready to go, and I'm going to cut those up into sort of coins. Get that little piece right there. There we go. I cut them up into coins, but this time I think I'm going to cut them up a little smaller. So here we go. Oh God, my hands aren't even working. And then the first step to making the home fries is to also fry an onion in butter specifically. You could use olive oil, but I really do recommend butter. I've got some water boiling right over there in the other burner, so it's going to be ready. Yeah, I think I want to try that side. Okay. Yep. So I'm going to cut these up. We'll talk again when I'm ready to peel onions. Sorry if this is sort of, I'm a little bit, okay, I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, as you can see, I've got them diced up into long, almost french fry size, very thin french fry size technically. The water's boiling. I put a little bit of kosher salt in the water because you should salt everything, is what they taught me when I worked in food service. So we're just going to get this stuff in there now. I'm making a mess of this. Sorry guys, again, just waking up. I mean, I've been up since probably 9 a.m., but I wasn't even capable of saying conscious words up until just a little bit ago. So it's really still good morning for me. Okay. Oh shit. Hang on a second, guys. Alright, excellent. So I've got the potatoes in. I'm just going to chop up this onion, and then we'll begin with the cooking proper. I like to make mine thin and wide. I know I'm a little bit shaky on the knife, but the way that I dice the onions has been ingrained in me for so long. I know there are some better ways to do it than this method. So I'll take all of these, I'll stack them up, add in some other bits that I see here. There we go. And let's begin. Jesus, this is a $50 knife. I've been using it a lot. It's a Victorinox, I think is the name of it. 8-inch chef knife. The New York Times had wonderful things to say, and so many foodie magazines also said it's great as a entry-level professional knife, and it can serve completely as a as a capable chef knife. Some people like to move up from there and get more expensive, more specialized tools. But I'll tell you, a lot of what I read is that people really, they don't want to move from this knife. And I'm not in food service, but I am trying to learn how to cook again after 20 years. And the story about that, I'll get to it, so I can tell you right now. Unfortunately, there was a fire in March of 2024. And I woke up and there was fire and things coming down from the ceiling and just every bad Hollywood trope of a fire that you'd ever want. And I ran upstairs to try and get my wife and my daughter Rachel, and I tried breaking down their door, which was so difficult. It's really never been locked, so it must have been the pressure of the fire, they tell me. But thank God my daughter Kirsten made it out of there, not without having to throw herself out the window, and I was so lame and crazy. The way I attempted to catch her was ridiculous, and I dropped her. Although it was a high jump, I would have dropped her anyway. She ended up breaking her heel. But yeah, my wife and my daughter Rachel died. And really, the way that my wife and I operated, she really couldn't work. She had some physical issues with arthritis and stuff. And so basically I would do all the work stuff, and she had an amazing set of cooking skills. Anyone will tell you that. It's not just me. And she pretty much fed me for 20 years. Not that I didn't know how to make basic foods, but still. And she died, and my daughter died, and I really had to learn how to take care of myself without another partner. And it's more than cooking, but it's also, you know, you're used to doing things as a twosome, as a couple. And I love my wife madly. She was my best friend. But we had a way of operating so that my bit and her bit fit together and everything went as good as it could. But then unfortunately she died, and that bit has suddenly been yanked out from under me, and I honestly don't know what to do. Yeah. So learning how to cook for myself, not in a lame, stupid guy way as I can put some brats on, you know, but to actually be able to take care of myself and other people and cook for them. Okay, the potato water's boiling. I've got this, onions are well diced, so I'm just gonna stick them into ye old pan. It's probably more onions that I'll need, but it's fine. Let me get some butter and we'll start frying them up. Okay, first of all, I think it's important to people that I tell them that I'm not using real butter, but I'm using margarine, because every time I just say butter and they see margarine, they're like, that's not butter, that's margarine. Like I've said in another video, we were kind of very poor because only one of us could work in Canada for the 20 years I lived there. And my wife used margarine. We were poor. And I got used to it, and I quite like it. I know other people don't, and if I was cooking for other people, I would by all means be using butter. So these potatoes, yep, I think they're ready. So I'm gonna just drain them off here, and I'm gonna turn off that heat. No, still recording. Awesome. So now I'm going to start to get these onions translucent and caramelized a little bit. Then we're going to throw the potatoes in there. I got to get my spices ready. We're going to use some paprika. We're going to use, not MSG right now, although it's almost always a good idea to use MSG, some minced onion, some garlic powder. I know I have it here. That's garlic salt. Don't want that. Onion powder. Yeah. And where's the garlic? Okay, no biggie. Alright, y'all, hang on for a second. Alright, there she is. She was just sitting behind another bottle. Alright, so I've got the big burner here up front, ready to go. And I'm going to pour the potatoes that are parboiled, maybe even a tiny bit more than parboiled, into this. And I'm going to make the home fries. Hopefully better than I did the last time, although last time was delicious. I've not made an untasty batch of these yet. It's just that some, as I've been experimenting, are tastier than others. I think I'm going to need a little bit more margarine. I would keep it out, but I don't want the heat from the oven to melt it. But there, we'll give that another little turn. Okay. And we'll put the margarine all the way over here, hoping that it doesn't get hot enough so that there's a mess of melted margarine in my on my counter that I have to clean up. I'm just telling you, I have been doing more using my dishwasher and like cleaning up when I had a big cooking day like yesterday. Man, like I tend to use the same things over and over. Like I have 3 or 4 other frying pans that are probably good or better than this one, but I just tend to stick with it. And same thing with this pot. I have a lot of pots that would work better or even just as good. So what happens is, as I'm in between not only recipes, but in between stages in each recipe, like cutting up the onions and frying them up in here, that's one stage, then adding the potatoes. So I end up having to do dishes, you know, like sometimes 2 or 3 times in the same meal, you know what I mean? Just for a different course. And then, so and I'm sure you guys know, when you have a dishwashing machine, which I have here, haven't used them before I lived here for quite a little while, but you really do have to do the majority of washing it before you put it in, because if there's anything like accumulated on there, or anything other than, you know, anything, it's just going to get baked on in the dishwasher. So you really do have to mostly clean your cups and plates and things 99% and 90% of the way, and just kind of use the dishwasher as a final, you know, landing on it. Alright, let's get some of this spicing in. So we'll do some onion powder, some garlic powder, Excellent. That maybe a little bit more, I'd say. Some minced. Some fresh cracked pepper. And some salt. I've really been making an effort to undersalt and underseason things, because I started working with a much smaller, pressure cooker. Even though I had to use both of those suckers yesterday, and yes, wash them, because I had this 6-quart Instant Pot, and I find even when I want to just cook for me and myself, or just 2 people, whatever, I keep adding to that pot until it's legitimately 6 quarts. I just seem to, you know, if I think about it a lot beforehand, but Usually when I used it, I ended up with more food than I needed. I had to chase around people to feed them because I got tired of eating it. And yeah, so I found at the secondhand store a 3-quart one, and that looked like it was more my speed, so that I could use it when I want to make smaller batches of food. Yesterday, because I ended up, after I cleaned my my chicken and I made the stock from its bones and everything, and I legitimately had the 3-quart was full, and I also wanted to do it in 2 different stages because one of the, like, half of the pot was using natural chicken stock, like from the chicken that I boiled up, and then the other half I had to put in some store-bought, you know, chicken stock, chicken broth, low sodium. And again, I wanted to make sure, because it's so easy in a 3-quart pot, you know, especially when you're used to cooking in a 6-quart, to add salt to something. And it happened to me a couple times where I added too much salt, and you know, I could barely rescue it. But it really, you know, my cousin Shelly taught me how to, like, cut it with tomato pieces in order to bring the so it affects some of the salt, but that's really just to rescue it. Although it was delicious, and I'd certainly use tomatoes again. But yeah, so I'm really being careful. You can always add more seasoning and salt if you'd like it, but once you put it in, either it's good or you have to throw the whole thing away, right? All right, so these are getting very soft and going very well. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to this. It's 90% butter. It's legitimately 90% butter, but it's a big batch with all the onions that I peeled, and I peeled 3 potatoes, so I want this to get lightly brown, and I don't want to have to add margarine to it 1,000 times, so hopefully stirring in that olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. Giuseppe says I must use it. Alright, it's time to give it a little kick of paprika again, get that color going. There we go. Alright. When I grew up and I was served, so these are, I'm attempting to recreate the diner home fries that I had when I was a young man in high school, or the high school age. And you know, these days they mostly give you crispy things. And I've always grown up with it being the soft kind. And so I really want to be able to make this for myself, for another person. And so yeah, I'm trying to re-perfect it so it's exactly the way I remember it, which it'll never be, because, you know, my taste buds have changed, things like that. Alright, let's lower that. A little bit more of this. Alright, I'm going to get a fork and try it. I think it still needs more cooking. I mean, it'll be soft enough, but I think I want it to get a little bit crispy just on the edges. That's delicious. That is delicious. Alright, that's good enough. I'm going to take it off the heat. And I'm going to put it into a container, because I'm going to use this same frying pan for my scrambled eggs. My dog in my truck. Alright, give me a second. This is just going to be me bobbing and doing a million things and cleaning the pan. You don't need to hang out for it, although I appreciate you being willing to. Alright, my hearties, my lovelies, ooh, that's in anything. I will just see you motherfuckers in a bit. Okay, let's get going on the egg thing. So I've cleaned the pan, I've got some butter in there, I've got 2 eggs here that I'm just whipping up. So I can't stand when you get a big clump of white in your eggs. It's been something since I was a child that it really grosses me out. So I really want to make sure that I'm mixing it as well as possible. So there's that. Now we're going to add into this a little bit of pepper. This one I know exactly how much salt, and about that much. Ooh, I forgot something. Be right back. Okay, I got my stuff together. All right, now I have a little bit of half and half, just a drop or 2 for 2 eggs I'm going to add in there. That's lovely. And then the thing that I'd forgotten, and truly the piece de resistance, is some shredded cheddar cheese. Everything's better with cheese. I love cheese. So we're going to put a goodly amount in there. All right. And we're going to whisk the cheese in. Get the burner on very low. And we're going to then, with a generous dollop of butter, pour this in here. I realize I should have had the butter melt first, but I had a brain for it. That's fine. And then the other thing I want to do is make some toast and use the last of this bread. I usually get bread for free. There's some places that their day-old stuff they put out. It's the same place that I get vegetables. But I can't tell the difference. It's always fresh for me. And I have a beautiful sourdough loaf that I would love to use for this. But I've got to get this. It says it's Italian bread, but it's just white bread as far as I can tell. But anyway, I don't want to let this go to waste. So I'm going to use that. And I've got the eggs heating up. So we're going to just start stirring them immediately. Oh, this is what I put the home fries in. And I'm going to turn the heat low. You want to give your eggs time to come together properly. They're already thickening. But you know, when the magic happens, it happens really fast. See that bit of white in there? Usually when you crack an egg and you've got it in there, if the yolk isn't broken, you can see 2 little pieces of white that come off, and I think that's something that connects the chicken to the yolk or something like that. Almost like an umbilical, but I like to take those out. They're squirrely things, I have to tell you. It takes me a minute or 2 to get them out. There's usually 1 on each egg. Sometimes I think there's 2, but maybe I'm not remembering correctly. All right. So now we're starting to get these nice ribbons. Although I have it under a low heat so that it doesn't get burnt. If I look away for a second or go to look where my salt went or something, as you guys can see I regularly do, toast is ready. I don't want them soft, but I do want them a little bit harder than this. Usually I make 3 eggs, but with the potatoes and everything, my appetite's not going to do that, I don't think. You know, I don't know if I've told you guys before, but I used to be really overweight, over 400 pounds, and I had a gastric bypass surgery, a really aggressive form of it they don't even really do anymore. But yeah, so I have to kind of stick to low volumes or slow eating across a long period of time. That's usually what I'm doing, is I am kind of grazing all day. Because if I eat something too fast, I'm either gonna yarf it up or walk around uncomfortably full. So I also tend to eat not hard foods, because I can eat crunchy foods. And then, in case you guys haven't noticed, I have a little bit of a dental issue going on. But really, it's because of the gastric bypass. That's what. So anyway, I'm usually noshing throughout the day, and also that's kind of why I'm only made 2 eggs today instead of 3. Between the home fries and the toast and the eggs, that's going to be a great breakfast, but it'll be as much as I need. Okay, so all I'm really going to do is butter this toast. I'm going to put, before I forget, must put Tabasco sauce on eggs, at least with me. Alright, and that'll be it. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Bye.